Hi, and welcome back to FemLogic AI. Today we're going to show you some really cool stuff that you can do with Zapier. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot because I think the tool's fantastic. It's going to be linked in the show notes below if you want to see that. But today we're going to go over how you can take a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet as far as that goes. We're going to use Google for today. We're going to show you how you can take a Google spreadsheet and when a new row is added, automatically create a calendar invite and also post that in a Slack channel. So I use this for when I'm on a board and I need to send out information to the people. So I want to make sure that everybody knows when the new, the next meetings are, if there's a coffee or anything like that. So I use these Google Sheets, and when I update those Google Sheets, that automatically triggers a calendar event to be sent out to everyone, as well as something gets posted in the Slack channel so that I make sure people have that information as soon as possible. So it saves me a ton of time. Eventually we'll get into how I automate the filling out of the spreadsheet, but I really like the Google spreadsheet because if you have multiple people putting information in to a spreadsheet, it's just a lot easier to have a centralized location, particularly when you're on a board or something like that and you have people from many different companies. I feel like it's a great centralized point. So today we're going to show you how to automate every time a new event is added into your Google spreadsheet or a new row. We're going to show you how you can add a calendar event and then a Slack channel update. So thanks. Hope you like it. All right, guys, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is go out to Zapier. So Zapier.com, and that'll also be linked in the show notes below. But once you get there, you're going to see a screen that looks similar to this. You're going to click on Zaps. And then you can see I've got quite a few zaps in here at this point, but I'm going to show you the finished product and what the finished product does and looks like first, and then we can walk through step by step on how to do it. So for starters, let's go out here and I'll show you I have this update calendar Slack message here. And what this does is, so I've got three pieces here. One piece is I have it connecting to the Google Sheet. So the second piece is it connects to the Google Calendar, and the third is it connects to Slack. So you'll need those three things to make all that, as well as Zapier integrations into all of those. So let me show you how this works. This first one here, every time a new Google Sheet row is added, it's going to trigger a calendar event to be automatically added to my calendar, as well as a Slack message. And so let me show you real quick. So this is just a very quick Google Sheet I set up. Nothing fancy here. Title, start, and end, and details about the event. Now, you could put all the details that you want in here and, fiddle with it however you want. I'm just going simple for today. So I know we have an NTC, let's see, 2024 awards coming up. And I'm going to say that's the award show, and I know that's on 2/29/24. And I'm putting it in military time here because I feel like that's easier to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Military time, I'm going to say it ends at 2200 hours. And I'm going to say it's at the Joe's. Well, it's going to be at the Belmont Center, and I'll just put that in there for now. And now I'm going to save that. So when I save that, that should automatically trigger the emails and the workflow there. So make sure it's saved. I'm always paranoid, so I hit save 2 or 3 times. So I've got my Google Sheet there. So then what we're looking for over here is, this is my Google Calendar. So it does take it a minute to come up. Let me open my Slack and I'll show you what Slack's going to look like. But there we go. We have a 2024 NTC award show. It come up, it says at the Belmont Center, and I have a little message that I have created that posts in the channel every time one of those is updated. So pretty cool, right? You can add hashtags, you can do however you'd like to spin this. But okay, now we're back to the calendar. Now that took about, I'd say about 30 seconds, maybe 30, 45 seconds there, but it sent me a Slack message, which I showed you there. And it also sent me a calendar invite. So it automatically, and I had it do it purple since I wanted to make sure it stood out from the ones that I actually have on my calendar. So as you can see, you've got the award show there. If you click on it, it pulls up all the things that we have listed, as well as the, any details or anything that we've added in there. So that's what we want. So yay, that's really great. All right. Now let's get started on how we do this. So back to our Zapier. the first thing we're going to do with the Zapier is we're going to go over here and we're going to jump out of the one that I created and we're going to build a brand new one from scratch. So we are going to say, I want to do Zaps and I want to create a new one. So you can create there. If you're in the home page, you can say, I want to create a new one. But right now I'm putting them all in like the generalized location, but you probably want to separate them into folders at some point, and I'll get there eventually, I'm sure. I'm just too excited about the toy. First thing you're going to do is click the trigger. Then you're going to go over here and you're going to say what I want it to do is when there's a new event added to my Google Sheet. So I want to go to Google Sheets, click Google Sheets, and Zapier has over 5,000 native integrations. So that's already in there. And so that's fantastic. So then you want to add your event. So with the event, you want to go over here and you want to choose, I want every time a new or updated spreadsheet row. So it says triggered when the new row is added or modified in a spreadsheet. So this is what I want. So I want it to instantly, as soon as somebody adds in a new event, I want that notification to go out as well as the calendar invite to be added to my calendar. So say, okay, I'm going to continue with that. I have connected it to my personal Gmail account. So you can change that if you want. It'll pop up here and it'll say, where do you want to, you can connect a new account right there. Very simple process. So you just have to connect it to your Google Sheets, just like you do in other apps and stuff, giving it permission. So I'm going to say we're good with Google Sheets. We are now saying, all right, what's going to happen here? All right, well, you got to pick a spreadsheet. So I have created this board updates test. So I'm going to click on that, and that's my events spreadsheet. And then it says within the spreadsheet, where do I want to go? So it's looking through here and it says, okay, I do want the board test up spreadsheet. Sorry about that. Choose the worksheet. So which worksheet do I want? And so I renamed that tab events. So if you go back to my spreadsheet here, you'll see I named the tab events. Go back to Zapier. So we've got events and then the trigger column. And I just have it on any column because what I want is when a new row is added, that's when I want you to trigger the event. So that's good for me. Any row is fine with me. So I say continue. And then I always want to make sure and test because you want to make sure you have all these little green check marks right there. So go over here, click test trigger. And it's going to go out there and it's going to think about it for a sec. It's going to come back. And yay, that's what we wanted it to, right? So we have one event in there. We have two events in there. So it pulled the last event there and we can, go back to our calendar and see it in there. So we have two events. All right, so let's do this. Let's go in here and let's continue. So we got it. That's the way we want it. So what's the next thing? So now we have told it, okay, we want you to connect to the spreadsheet and it's connecting to the spreadsheet, it's pulling the data. So now the next thing we want to do is say, okay, let's add a Google Calendar event. So go ahead. Again, you can search for Google Calendar. It happens to be up here because I use these little functions a lot. And so for the event, I have to say, what do I want it to do? Do I want to create a whole new calendar? Do I want it to create a detailed event, delete an event, update an event? So for right now, I'm just going to say create a detailed event because that's what I want to do. I just want to create a calendar event, just like if I was typing it in myself, but this saves me a ton of time. So it says choose an account. So I choose an account. So I have a couple of them hooked up here and I'm going to connect to my personal account on this one. I'm going to say yay, continue. So there you go. Once you've got them in there, it automatically comes in, no problem. All right, so then we're going to choose the calendar. So it's going to come in here and I'm going to say, I definitely want my personal calendar. So if you have many calendars, my family coordinates our calendars. So I want to make sure I choose the right calendar to put out there. The summary of the event. And so this is where we're starting to pull in the information from the sheet. So we want this to be dynamic. And what I mean by dynamic is we don't want to have to manually enter in this information. What do we want the title, the summary of this event? We want the title of this event to be, and what do we want it to be? So we want it to be this right here, the title, the NTC Awards. So that title, and know that it's when it comes to a new event, it's just showing you an example right here. So they're not all going to be called NTC Awards. And for description, I want to put in there my details. So I'm going to put in my details, and I could also put the details in the location as well. For this simplicity, I just put in here, I'm going to say I want the details listed right there as my description. So you can put whatever you want in there. If you want to put a tire, anything you want. And so you can put in the location. For this one, I'm going to skip it. Most of this information is optional. So just like if you create an event on your Google Calendar, you don't have to enter everything. So the more information, I'm always happier with myself when I enter in more information, like the address and all that fun stuff, because those are the things that trip me up. And so then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say I want the start date. So I've already entered that into my sheet, and I want to click start date. All right, and end date. And one thing I did forget to tell you about the dates on here is when you are choosing dates, you do have to go into your spreadsheet that I created here, and you want to highlight them and go up to format and make sure that they are numbers. So you're going to go in here and you want to say it's a date and time. So if you don't tell it that, then Zapier does not understand. And so I made that mistake myself. So it stumped me for a while. So you got to tell it this is date and time. And so if you want to put in frequency or how it's going to repeat, we don't want any of that for this event. So I'm going to skip all the way down. I do like to change the color, mainly because I want to make sure that I know where the event was coming from. So if every once in a while things hiccup and it might send the wrong thing, and I want to make sure if it's like purple, then I know that came from Zapier, and that's how I was doing that. So that's my color there. You can add in as many attendees as you want. So if you want to, for my board, I won't enter them all in here, but just know this is where I would say Joe at, techcommons.com. Joe's going to get that email. I could continue on with many, many attendees. As you can see, it gives me the option to enter a whole bunch of attendees here. So I can do it that way. Another way to put in all the attendees is you can also forward it from your, if you wanted to forward it to your email, you could do it that way too. But I like to put it all in here, enter in all my attendees for the board, everybody that's getting these calendar invites. And then I leave everything else as default, unless you just want to put in a reminder. I always show the time as busy, unless it's, So you can select that as busy, and then you can say guests can modify the event. I do not allow guests to modify event because I don't want anybody to accidentally modify it for other people. So, all right, continue, and we've got that all set up. All right, so Joe at techcommons.com. All right, so now we're going to test the step. And so we want to make sure that we get our green check mark here. And so we did, so yay. So we got a green check mark, which means that it does run successfully. And so when we get ready to do this step, it will work. Now we could publish right here, and then every time a new event was added, you would get a calendar invite. But what I want to do is I want to go a step further. And so I want to make sure that people not only get a calendar invite to their email, but they also get a Slack message, because what I've learned is some people communicate better in Slack and others in email, and it just depends. And I think it's about 50-50 at this point. Maybe someday we'll have a unified tool that everybody uses, but I like to make sure to communicate with people however they want to be communicated with, because I don't want anybody to miss information just because we're using the wrong tool. So then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, okay, so that works. Let's do our next step. So then I'm going to connect to my Slack. So then I go over here and I just type in Slack. It comes up. This is Slack. And I want, what kind of event do I want? And so I can even create a channel from here, add reminders. But for right now, I just want to send a channel message. And so you can scroll through here and see all the events they have, direct message to a user. Really, I just want to send a channel message because I want it to go to the whole channel. I have connected it to my NTC ambassadors, which is my board that I'm on. And so I've connected it to that Slack channel. So whatever email address you have connected in here, you have to make sure you connect the dots there. But just like with all the others, if you want to change it, you can add an account and connect the dots there. So what I did for the ambassadors here and on the action. And so it's going to ask me to pick a channel. Now I am going to use this random channel, which is a channel with just my information at the moment for demonstration purposes, so I don't blast the whole board with my demonstration here. So I'm going to check random, and that is our channel. But you can go through here and you can see we have many more channels available. So I know that random's the one that I want for this particular project. I can put the message in here. And the message I want to say is, I'm going to say at channel, because I want it to go to the channel, but I also want it to notify everyone in the channel. And that's a Slack message there if you're not familiar with it. I'm going to say, please be on the lookout for a new calendar invite for this event. And then I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to say the event, and I'm going to colon, I'm going to do the start, end, and then I'm also going to say details because I want to just have the same information that I put in the invite there. I can add in more information if I want, but this is just a generic format that I'm going to tell it to run through right here. And so this is actually not using ChatGPT or any other API. It's only using Google, Slack, and Zapier. So technically no AI here, but also an automation piece. And so to me, I'm like AI, generative AI, whatever it is, I want some automation, however I can get that added productivity. So we're going to go in here and I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to put my name down here. So very, very simple message, nothing fancy. So what I want to do here is I want to insert the same information that I had. Now, sometimes you do have to go up here and select something else and then click back in because for some reason it loses this information there. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, like I said. And then I'm going to click on this event here. I'm going to expand expand the spreadsheet here. And that's where, once again, I'm going to choose my information. So the event is, and I'm going to use my down arrow here. I want the title. And so the event's going to come out as title there. And I also want to put in the start. So when did it start? So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. And again, expand my spreadsheet information here. I'm going to click on the start. If you don't like that military time, you can choose that again. Again, I want to do the event details here, and I want to go back. For some reason, I do have to click back and forth on this because it does lose that, the drop down, which is a little annoying. There's probably a fix to that. If you know what the fix is, let me know. End date. And then I also want to do the details. So I want to put the details in there. And so I'll just play around with the formatting just a tad. I mean, it's a Slack message, so I don't want it to be super long. It doesn't have to be like an email or anything like that. On this event, and I'll add in maybe, we hope to see you there. All right. So we have an event. And so we have it formatted. We're not worried about emojis or anything like that. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to send it as a bot. Yes. You can choose no, and a message will come from me so I'm going to say no on this one. The first one I showed you so the original one I showed you here, that is from the bot where it comes from Zapier. But now I'm going to show you how to do it if it just comes from you. So we'll go back out here to Zapier. I'm going to say, no, do not send it as a bot. Send it as me. And then you can name the bot. And so you could name it Shauna's bot. And we're not using the bot, so it shouldn't come up there. You can add a bot icon. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. So if you really want to get creative with that, you can add links and URLs. For this particular one, I don't need any of that stuff. So I'm just going to, go down here. You can schedule it, add file attachments. Again, all I need. So I've done everything I got. So I'm going to go continue. All right. And I'm going to test this step. Again, I'm looking for that green check mark because that tells me that I've done everything correctly and that it will run. And so we have all green check marks. Yay, that's always good. So then I can just click publish. And so once I click publish on this, it will go out there. And then every time I run it, and so what I'll do is I will publish this one. Okay, so we have our Zap done. So let's test it out. So let's go over to our board update here. And we're going to say, all right, let's say happy hour happy hour to celebrate the holidays. How about we just celebrate winter? All right, happy hour to celebrate winter. We're going to say 2/15/2024. And then we're going to say, all right, let's see where I messed my other one up. All right, so I'm going to... All right, so 2/15/2024. And then I want to make sure I put my time in here. So I'm just going to say this one starts at noon because, who wouldn't want to leave? Do happy hour at noon, right? And then got that. Again, I copy and paste usually, and then I update the time. And so we're going to say that's just from 12 to 1, so 1300. And I'm just going to say that's at my house. All right, so we'll just do this right now. I'm going to save this. And then we're going to wait about 45 seconds to a minute or so and like let it do its thing in the background, and then it's going to update all our stuff. So hold tight. Okay, it's been about a minute and a half, and now we're going to go check, and we're going to say our calendar. All right, look, our happy hour is there. Purple, like I wanted it to be. And then we go over to our Slack channel, and we look at the Slack, and we have a Slack message too. So yay, all our stuff came through. So that's what we wanted to see. So you can see there's many applications for this. When you're talking about trying to coordinate events or any kind of list, this is very helpful. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I take PDF files of my child's school stuff, get them in that same Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet format, and then create all my calendar invites in one big swoop. So it saves me a ton of time. So all these are stepping to that next level. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something today. We work really hard on trying to get content that is both increases your productivity as well as makes your personal life better. I think AI is fantastic and generative AI for your business, but let's face it, we all need a few more hours in the day of our own. So let's use this time to bring more joy to your life. So please follow my channel, like and subscribe, and we'll keep going with these videos. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you.